Hello, friends and learners. Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to another learning episode of EcoBriefs Dialogue, a conversation with our AI co-host Sustaino. I am Dr. Ravi Sharma, and I am really glad to have you all with us as we continue building a structured understanding of ESG and sustainability reporting in the Indian context. In our previous episodes, we started with understanding what BRSR is, and then we explored how sustainability reporting has evolved in India. From values and voluntary practices to a more structured regulatory framework, but an important question still remains. What is the foundation on which BRSR is built? Because unless we understand the underlying principles, sustainability reporting can easily become a mechanical exercise rather than a meaningful business transformation tool. And this is exactly where today's topic becomes extremely important. Today, we will focus on understanding the national guidelines on responsible business conduct, or called as NGRBC, which were issued by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs in 2019. These guidelines are not just a set of recommendations, they represent a comprehensive framework that defines how businesses in India are expected to behave responsibly across environmental, social, and governance dimensions. At the heart of NGRBC, there are nine principles which together act as the ethical and operational backbone of BRSR reporting. So, in today's episode, we will not only understand what these nine principles are, but with Sustaino, we will discuss how these principles connect with BRSR disclosures, how companies actually implement them in practice, and why these principles are critical not only from compliance but for long-term business sustainability and value creation. I welcome my AI co-host Sustaino to take this discussion forward and help us decode the principles of responsible business conduct in India. Welcome, Sustaino.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. Let's dive in. The nine principles of the NGRBC cover everything from business ethics to respect for human rights and environmental stewardship. As we move through each principle, I'll connect it directly to BRSR disclosure expectations and illustrate practical implementation examples from Indian industries. This will give everyone a clear understanding of both compliance and long-term strategic value. Let's break down the first principle, business ethics, and how it translates into tangible corporate actions.
Yeah, thank you, Sustaino. Before we go into each principle, can you help our audience clearly understand what NGRBC is and why it is important? Before you proceed, let me clear that there are students, there could be a working professionals or a ESG consultants or a part of a corporate sustainability team members who will be listening to our episode. Yeah, over to you, Sustaino.
Certainly. The National Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct are India's guiding framework for ethical business behavior. They ensure companies act responsibly across social, environmental, and governance domains. For students, this is the foundation of sustainable business theory. For working professionals, it aligns daily operations with responsibility. For ESG consultants or sustainability teams, it's the backbone of BRSR reporting. In short, it's critical because it moves businesses from mere compliance toward genuine sustainable value creation.
So, anything more on you have talked about nine principles for business responsible business conduct that was issued. Could you please elaborate more, a more structured answer where we can have a overall concept of NGRBC, its link, its regulatory link, and a practical relevance of these NGRBC principles?
The NGRBC is a policy framework issued by India's Ministry of Corporate Affairs that sets out nine principles guiding responsible business conduct. These principles are aligned with regulatory expectations, particularly the Business Responsibility and Sustainability Reporting (BRSR) requirements. BRSR mandates companies to report their actions on these very principles, such as ethics, human rights, and environmental responsibility. Practically, This means businesses must disclose how they integrate these principles into policies, supply chains, and stakeholder engagements. Thus, the NGRBC is both a regulatory anchor and a strategic roadmap, ensuring businesses operate responsibly and create long-term value.
Great. It means that if I have to sum up what you have said, NGRBC ensures that sustainability is not just reported but embedded into how businesses generally operate. Right? Okay. So let's move to the next section of our conversation where we will try to deep dive principle wise. What when we say principle wise means each principle should follow a meaning, BRSR link, and a practical example. Okay, so there are 9 principles. Sustaino, could you explain or throw some light on the 9 principles?
Certainly. Principle 1 focuses on ethical and transparent governance. Principle 2 emphasizes providing goods and services that are safe and sustainable. Principle 3 is about employee well-being, including fair labor practices. Principle 4 addresses stakeholder engagement, especially disadvantaged groups. Principle 5 covers human rights. Principle 6 is about environmental responsibility, including resource efficiency. Principle 7 promotes responsible public policy advocacy. Principle 8 is about inclusive growth and equitable development. Finally, Principle 9 stresses consumer engagement, ensuring that products are safe and consumers are informed. Each principle is mapped to specific BRSR disclosures, and we'll now break them down with practical examples.
Okay, so we will start with the principle 1, which you said ethics, transparency, and accountability, which the focus is on governance and integrity. Could you elaborate on its practical aspects? We will take all principles one by one.
Certainly. Principle 1 mandates ethical governance, meaning companies must adopt integrity, transparency, and accountability in decision-making. In practice, this means instituting anti-corruption policies, ensuring board independence, and disclosing conflicts of interest. For instance, a company might report in BRSR how its board oversight ensures ethical conduct and how grievance redressal mechanisms operate. In short, it makes governance both transparent and trust-building.
Okay, moving to second principle, which you talked about sustainable products and services. It means life cycle responsibility. Could you throw some light on life cycle responsibility? And then you can have a more elaborate picture on the practical aspects of second principle.
Life cycle responsibility means that a company is accountable for its product or service from sourcing raw materials all the way through its end of life. In practice, Principle 2 means designing safe, eco-friendly products, minimizing resource use, and ensuring responsible disposal. For example, a firm might disclose in BRSR that it uses recyclable packaging, conducts life cycle assessments, or offers take-back programs. In short, the principle ensures that every product or service respects people and the planet throughout its life cycle.
Okay, moving to principle 3, which is employee well-being. It includes health, safety, and inclusion. So, if you could explain more on BRSR metrics for this principle, and then you can talk on the practical aspects for this principle.
Under BRSR, Principle 3 requires metrics like employee health and safety data, workforce diversity, and training hours. In practice, it means ensuring fair wages, a safe workplace, and an inclusive culture. For example, a company might report its lost time injury frequency rate or detail its gender diversity initiatives. In essence, the principle ensures companies invest in their people, fostering well-being, safety, and growth.
Okay, moving to fourth principle, stakeholder engagement, which is related to identification and responsiveness. So, if you could explain more on what do you mean by identification of stakeholder engagement and responsiveness of stakeholder engagement, then it will be great for our audience.
Stakeholder engagement begins with identifying who's impacted, such as employees, local communities, or suppliers. Responsiveness means actively addressing their concerns, whether it's fair wages, environmental impacts, or social programs. Under BRSR, companies must disclose stakeholder consultation processes and outcomes. In practice, this might involve grievance mechanisms, community consultations, or supplier feedback. In essence, it ensures businesses listen, respond, and co-create value with their stakeholders.
Yes, so there are two basic practical aspects related to stakeholder engagement. One is materiality assessment, and second is the stakeholder mapping. First, we will talk about materiality assessments. What exactly is materiality assessment, and what we can start with what materiality is, and how we do a materiality assessment and why it is important in BRSR reporting.
Materiality is about identifying which ESG issues are most significant to a business and its stakeholders. A materiality assessment is the formal process to determine these priorities. Companies consult internal and external stakeholders and analyze business impact. In BRSR, companies report what's material, whether climate risk, labor practices, or governance. This ensures they prioritize and report on what truly impacts their business and society.
Could you elaborate more on materiality aspect with some example, one example for our learners?
Certainly, let's say a manufacturing firm conducts a materiality assessment. They engage employees, investors, and local communities. The assessment reveals that reducing carbon emissions and ensuring worker safety are the most critical. In BRSR, they highlight these as material issues. Practically, they then set emission reduction targets and improve safety measures. This ensures the company focuses on what truly impacts its business and stakeholders.
Okay, there is another concept related to materiality which is called as double materiality. Can you differentiate between what exactly materiality is and what is double materiality? How it is similar and how it is different, and why it is relevant for reporting?
Materiality focuses on issues that impact the business financially or operationally. Double materiality expands that scope. It considers both, first, how external ESG factors impact the business, financial materiality, and second, how the business impacts society or the environment, impact materiality. Thus, double materiality looks outward and inward. For reporting, it's crucial, especially for sustainability reports, to show both how external ESG risks affect the business and how the business affects the world around it.
Great. I hope, although the double materiality is not part of our BRSR reporting, is it correct?
That's correct. As of now, the BRSR framework focuses on materiality in terms of business impact. Double materiality, though widely discussed in global ESG contexts, isn't explicitly mandated in the current BRSR framework.
Okay, but still, our learners might have got what the idea of double materiality and materiality. Okay, moving to next, Sustaino. What do you mean by stakeholder mapping? Because here it is in this principle, stakeholder mapping is a crucial impact aspect. What exactly is stakeholder mapping?
Stakeholder mapping is the structured process of identifying all parties affected by or influencing the business. This includes internal stakeholders like employees and external ones, such as customers, suppliers, communities, or regulators. In practice, you map these groups based on their influence and needs. Under BRSR, companies explain how they identify and engage these stakeholders. The goal is to ensure every key group's concerns are recognized and addressed, fostering balanced and responsible business conduct.
Great. Now moving to principle 5, human rights, which focuses on respect across operations and value chain. Can you throw more practical insights into human rights? I think it includes supplier audits, labor compliance. Can you throw some light on the practical aspects of human rights?
In practice, respecting human rights means ensuring no forced labor, fair wages, and safe conditions throughout the value chain. This includes suppliers' compliance with labor laws and grievance mechanisms for workers. Under BRSR, companies report policies ensuring human rights, supplier audits, and remedial actions. For example, a company may require suppliers to sign a code of conduct. In short, it ensures dignity and fairness across operations and partners.
Great. So moving to principle 6, which is very critical, and it is related to environmental protection. This is, I think, it is the most data heavy principle in BRSR reporting. In BRSR, there are energy, water, GHG, and waste related metrics as, included in principle 6. Could you explain first the principle 6 in detail, and then you can talk about the practical applicability and aspects of environmental protection. Then third, you can talk about the metrics that are involved in this principle 6 environmental protection, and a bit elaborate on scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 emission tracking as a part of this principle 6 reporting.
Principle 6 is about environmental responsibility. It requires businesses to minimize their environmental impact, from resource efficiency to pollution control. In practice, companies adopt sustainable sourcing, reduce emissions, manage waste, and conserve water. BRSR requires data on energy use, water consumption, GHG emissions, and waste. Specifically, Scope 1 covers direct emissions like fuel combustion, Scope 2 covers indirect emissions from purchased energy, and Scope 3 covers all other indirect emissions like supply chain or product use. Tracking all three scopes helps companies fully understand and disclose their total carbon footprint.
Yeah. Could you explain more on scope 3 emission? What are the types of scope 3 emissions? What are the different categories of scope 3 emission and why it is important? And what are the challenges in scope 3 monitoring?
Scope 3 emissions are all indirect emissions beyond purchased energy. They include categories like purchased goods, business travel, employee commuting, waste, and product use. There are 15 categories in total. It's crucial because Scope 3 often represents the largest share of a company's carbon footprint. The challenges lie in data collection, since it requires information from suppliers and customers, and the complexity of estimation. Yet measuring Scope 3 is vital for a full picture of total emissions, driving meaningful reductions across the entire value chain.
Thank you for this clarification. Now moving next to principle 7, which is related to responsible policy advocacy, which is related to ethical lobbying. Please provide a practical insights into the principle 7.
Principle 7 ensures that when companies engage in public policy or lobbying, they do so ethically and transparently. In practice, this means aligning policy advocacy with sustainable goals, like supporting climate policies or fair labor laws. Under BRSR, companies disclose their policy positions, memberships in industry bodies, and any political contributions. In short, it ensures advocacy is responsible, aligned with societal good, and disclosed.
Yeah, great. So it's basically a industry association's transparency related principle, right?
Exactly. It's about ensuring that any policy influence is ethical, aligned with responsible business conduct, and fully transparent to stakeholders.
Great. Now moving to the principle 8, which is again very much important, and because it covers community and CSR alignment. And the principle 8 is related to inclusive growth. Could you explain more on inclusive growth and the practical aspects, like focusing more on impact-based CSR projects?
Inclusive growth means ensuring that business growth benefits marginalized and underserved communities. In practice, Principle 8 drives companies to go beyond charity and invest in impact-driven CSR, such as skill development, education, or healthcare access for disadvantaged groups. Under BRSR, companies report these initiatives and their outcomes, demonstrating how they support equitable development. In short, it shifts CSR from charity to sustainable impact, fostering inclusive growth.
Okay, with this now we come to the last principle, principle 9, which is related to product safety and responsibility. Principle 9 is consumer value. And when we talk about practicality, two important practical aspects are covered in Principle 9 consumer value. It is customer grievance systems and the product life cycle impact. Over to you, Sustaino. Any thoughts on Principle 9?
Principle 9 ensures that consumers are treated fairly and that products are safe and sustainable. In practice, companies must have accessible customer grievance systems, ensuring timely redress. They also need to evaluate product lifecycle impacts, like safety, recyclability, or resource efficiency. Under BRSR, they disclose these mechanisms and product responsibility measures. In essence, it ensures consumers receive value, safety, and trust in the company's offerings.
Great, Sustaino. With this, we have covered, we have discussed, we have elaborated on 9 key principles as per the NGRBC. Now we will move to next section, which is where we talk some time on practical integration of these 9 principles. So, Sustaino, my question to you is, how should companies actually implement these principles? Could you please explain in a stepwise manner, elaborating on each step, that how companies actually can implement these 9 principles?
Certainly. First, companies need to embed these principles into governance, set board-level oversight and policies. Second, they must conduct a materiality assessment, identifying key ESG issues. Third, develop clear action plans, such as emissions reduction targets or supplier codes. Fourth, integrate them into operations, from product design to supply chain. Fifth, measure performance, using BRSR metrics. Sixth, train employees and partners. Seventh, disclose progress transparently. And finally, continually improve, refining practices as needed. This stepwise approach ensures each principle moves from intent to tangible business practice.
Yeah, great. So I will sum it up in what you explained in 5 case points, stepwise. The step 1 would be policy formulation, which should be aligned to the principles. Second is KPI definition, which is linked to BRSR indicators. Third is data systems, which is related to ESG metrics and its tracking. Fourth, board oversight. And fifth is continuous improvement. So these are the key 5 steps that will help companies to implement these 9 principles. So overall, if I sum up this session, NGRBC is not theoretical. It is operational when linked with measurable KPIs. Okay, Sustaino, with this we come to the end where we have talked about NGRBC, which is related to setting an ethical foundation, and BRSR is a reporting structure. And we discussed how these 9 principles are important or key elements of BRSR reporting structure. So before we close, Sustaino, your closing remarks on today's session?
In summary, we've unpacked how NGRBC isn't just a framework, it's the ethical blueprint for responsible business conduct. We've seen how each principle directly links to BRSR indicators, making ESG operational, not abstract. Companies that embed these principles, from governance to consumer value, stand to build trust and resilience. Ultimately, NGRBC is a pathway to not just compliance, but sustainable business advantage. With that, we've equipped our audience to move from principles to practice.
Yeah, great. So understanding these principles ensures that ESG is not treated as reporting, but as responsible business practice. So thank you, Sustaino. With this, we come to the end of today's dialogue series of BRSR 9 principles. For the students and learners, we stay tuned for our channel EcoBriefs Academy by Dr. Ravi Sharma, where in our next episode, we will move into the technical structure of BRSR, which includes section A, B, and C, the key metrics and factual metrics that are related to each BRSR structure. We will discuss on that. So, before I close, I thank my AI co-host Sustaino for being a very good partner, academic delivery content, who has expertise, who has helped me in assisting our learners in understanding BRSR reporting. Sustaino, any closing remark for EcoBriefs Academy and this series of EcoBrief dialogues by under our channel EcoBrief Academy by Dr. Ravi Sharma before we conclude?
I'd just say this. EcoBriefs Academy has a crucial role in bridging knowledge to practice. By breaking down frameworks like NGRBC and BRSR with clarity, you empower learners to drive real-world ESG outcomes. Keep the sessions actionable, practical, and insightful. I look forward to seeing the next deep dive, and I'm sure your audience will too.
Thank you, Sustaino, for your kind words. And with this, we conclude today's session, and we look forward to you and as a learner, as an enthusiast, or as a sustainability person who has a passion towards sustainability. We expect that you will stay tuned to our channel and with more series coming. And just an announcement. Soon we will be launching TNFD series in our dialogues, where we will cover TNFD related discussions to have a clarity on TNFD disclosure. With this, thank you. Take care.